we're human and these things impact us. And what it did for me is made me realize that life was short and that there was no time to spare. If you want to live your life the way you want to live your life, you better start doing it.
Yeah, just doing it and just getting to it.
Yeah.
Rather than
And I thought I want passive income because I want to be able to travel the world. I want to be able to spend time with my family. I want to be able to do what I want to do, not like sell my time all the time, be under stress all the time, and wait until the end to do something.
To do it. Yeah.
To do something. So I literally started Googling passive income. And when I started Googling it, all kinds of things came up like intellectual property, royalties, real estate. But real estate kept coming up.
I am Christina Suter, and this is the Real Estate Breakthrough Show, where we talk about the reality of real estate, the mindset you need in order to face the reality of what it is, and tips and tricks to get you moving forward in investing. I am your host, Christina Suter. I have Deborah Razo here with me. I am so excited that she is here because not only is Deborah an awesome, awesome person, she is a personal friend. She is also a real estate flipper and developer. She also does personal growth work, which I adore about her. And we're going to cover a variety of topics. And she also has an event coming up called Ignite. So we're going to be walking, meandering down this path with her. But let me give you a little bit about her bio so that you get some sense about her as a human being and what her business acumen has been, if you want to call it that. So Deborah Razo has always been an independent spirit. Deborah started her first business in 1990. After owning and participating in several successful small businesses, she realized that her path to financial freedom was through real estate investing. And that kind of says it all right there. I guess I could stop right there, but I won't. In addition to her business degree and graduate work at UCLA Anderson School of Management, she expanded her investing education in 2011 with a series of intensive workshops with Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Advisors, and Real Estate Radio Guys. Natural transition for her to shift gears from her 20 years of design firm to booming rehabbing business in Southern California, with her first house flip netting her nearly $100,000 in profits. Is that not the absolute prime drooling first flip you would like to have in your own life? Is you bring home $100,000 in profit cash cold?
Right.
We love that. But but the world did not stop there for her. I know she continued in her business because she had a flair for fixing and flipping properties, from purchasing, rehabbing, marketing, and sales, the techniques and tools needed for locating properties, analyzing market value, timely decisions on being able to capitalize on opportunities, and being able to craft offers and negotiations, due diligence, and so many other things that she has learned to be an expert in, as you would be if you are a flipper and developer, as she has been. With an unsurpassed expertise in renovation and team management, Deborah began purchasing foreclosures in the Memphis area, and just 2 years ago moved from rehab to development. And now she controls over $5 million in real estate and has done several more millions of dollars in deals. She is currently focusing her energy on partnering with investors seeking financial freedom. She's also the founder of the Women's Real Estate Network, that's WREN, W-R-E-N, a community where women in real estate excel and empower each other. We share experiences, resources, and tools to help one another grow both personally and professionally. And there currently are chapters in Los Angeles, Seattle, OC, Phoenix, Atlanta, San Diego, and more to come soon in Las Vegas and Washington, D.C. Deborah was recently named Woman to Watch by the national publication Think Realty and was selected to be on the cover of the women's issue in March of 2020. Deborah Razo, the most awesomest female, I swear. Welcome so much. It is, I mean, dude, right? I mean, I almost didn't read her bio, and look at that. Look at what I would have missed if I hadn't laid it all out there. I mean,
that's funny.
I want to know that you're a stuff.
Oh, wow. That was just an amazing little journey that we just took. I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's a lot. And then I was thinking, luckily I just put one foot in front of the other.
That's right. Right, because you try to think about all of that in one
way.
like compressed moment, be like, oh my God, that's overwhelming. How the heck did I have that happen in my life? But it did. It all happened in your life.
I know. Wow.
So let's talk about, so you went from flipping in Memphis to development, right? And I guess the reason why I'm focusing on that, even though I love talking about like one step in front of the other and mindset and personal growth, I'm focusing on that because, you know, part of what we try to deliver here is the value of what did you learn? What are the things that you think people need to learn if they want to move from flipping to developing? Because there is a distinct difference between, I mean, some of it's the same. You can talk about what's the same. Let's start with what's the same, and then let's talk about what's different and what people need to learn.
Sure. So there are similar skill sets in the sense that, you know, when you're flipping, you learn a lot about the mechanics of a building, you know. So you know what framing is, you know what drywall is, you know you have to insulate, you know what rough plumbing is, you know all these terms, you know. But the major difference would be when you flip, you don't really know what you're getting into until you actually get into that house, right? There could be some surprises, there could be not some surprises, you know. It's a curiosity and a wonder how it all comes together, right? And when you're developing, there's a lot of work, like very detailed work on the front end. You know, getting the right team and the right architect, the right engineers, civil engineers, structural engineers, soil engineers, the right surveys. There's a lot of really detailed work. But then once all that is complete and you're ready to build, it's so much easier. Like it's like ground up building is, you're not dealing with some mistakes or something you might run into. It's ground up. Like you just deal with going on. Now you might deal with some, you know, contractors, right? You know, those are always a surprise and a joy.
Always. I have three GCs in my current site. 3.
Oh, wow.
I shouldn't need 3.
Right.
I'm just saying, but I have 3.
Yeah. So, but the actual build itself, you know, you're making everything new. So there's not a lot of complexity to that portion of it. So, yeah, so those are the similarities and the differences. But I will tell you one thing that I did that was similar. And that is the first time I flipped, the first time I build, I partnered with somebody who knew how to do it. You know, I was given that piece of advice a long time ago. You know, you want to accelerate your learning, partner with somebody that, you know, knows how to do what it is you want to do. And you need to know that you need to bring as much value to that partnership as possible, right? Because you're learning off of that person, right? So I did that in both instances, and it really was a valuable thing to me.
So let's, for a minute, you're somebody who wants to partner with a flipper, or you want to partner with a developer, but you don't know what value you can possibly bring. What is the value that somebody who doesn't have a strong history in that area, what can they bring?
You can bring money. That's always great.
Money's an easy one. Money's an easy walk through the door. Look, I'll give you the money as long as I can shadow you the whole time. Sounds great. Meet you there.
Shadow you
the whole time.
Right? You can bring time, right? You can bring willingness. Like, I'm sorry, but you know, I might have flipped a lot and I might know things, but when I hit a site as on a development site, I'm low man on the totem pole. I'm like, I'll do the grunt work, you know? And I mean, what partner doesn't want somebody who's willing to do the grunt work?
Right.
You know, I mean, you know, it's the time when the ego goes on the back burner and you just go, I'll do what it takes to get this done because I want to learn.
Right. And that might mean running for permits. That might mean meeting contractors at 8 o'clock. That might mean lining up. Like I have a list of the punch list that I have is like 50 different things along. And it's like, well, babysitting the punch list and making sure that you walk through every day.
You go measure all the windows so that we can get,
Yeah, right. Go measure all the windows. Go measure the
the
interiors of the closets so that we have the right dimensions for the interior inserts in the closets.
Right. And you're just like, I love to do that.
I would love to go measure. Let me go measure. How do I do that?
So yeah, that's my way of adding value, bringing any resources that I have to the project that might be needed, is another way. But yeah, those are my ways.
And credit, you can be a credit partner.
You can be a credit partner.
You can be a credit partner as
I've
long
never
as
actually done that, but yes.
I have heard of it, and I've never done that because usually I'm the credit person. That's part, but yeah, but I mean, there are people you can bring on that as a credit partner. I want to be a credit partner, and I want to shadow you, right? With the right for the right to do credit.
Right.
What else?
I think it's really important to define what that means. I want to shadow you.
Yes.
Very important, because I think it can mean one thing to one person and another thing to another. Does shadowing mean I visit the site once a month? Or does shadowing mean I'm there on a regular basis while you're there so that I can see you walking through things and know how you're handling stuff, right? That's a different.
It is different, and it is important to define, like, because I'm like, well, if you want to shadow me, then I'm there every morning at between 10:30 and 11:30. So be there every morning between 10:30 and 11:30 so that you don't miss anything, right? But somebody else might say, no, I really don't want you there between 10:30 and 11 while I'm visiting the site. I only want to talk to you when I talk to my GC on Fridays, and then you can be there on Fridays or whenever my check-in is, or they might have different understandings as to what that means.
Different understandings. Really important to define that.
Right. And I mean, also some of the things that people can bring, they can bring a sense of design, right? They can bring.
I think it's really important to bring a sense of humor.
Please bring a sense of humor.
Please bring a sense
of humor. Please. Oh my gosh. I was, okay, not that it's about me. It's not about me, but I'm at this site, which I don't want to be at anymore, but I'm at this site, right? Because I should have been done like months ago. So I'm at this site and I'm like, okay, we're pulling out the interiors of a closet I built because it no longer fits for what the new design of this closet is going to be. Because we're doing a rehab, right? We didn't pre-plan it, right? If it was development, we would have had a pre-plan. We would have known what the AV system was going to be in its entirety. So we would have had the right build inside the closet for the right AV system, but we didn't. So there you go. Welcome to rehab.
So there goes the closet.
So there goes the interiors of the closet, which we've just paid for, are now being ripped out. And the contractor's looking at going, I don't know, Christina, this is going to be pretty hard. This looks really complicated. I'm like, really? Let's call my contractor, John. Really, John? Is that complicated? It's like, come on, Christina, of course you know it's complicated. I'm like, no, it's not. He starts laughing. Like, no, ripping stuff out is just ripping it out. Demo work is never that hard.
No.
What he started saying, what he said was, oh, you know what? Here's the problem. See, if we're going to make sure we don't hurt any of the equipment here, then we really need to start coming in from the outside walls. That's what we need to do, is start demoing the outside walls. And I was like, no, John, no. Don't demo the outside wall.
No.
I don't sense of humor.
I don't want to turn the closet inside out, John.
I didn't say build me a new closet.
Right.
Let's start with taking the kitchen out. Is that where we need to start, John? Is that what we should do? Take the kitchen out because the AV closet backs up to the back of the refrigerator? No. So, so sense of humor is good, but the willingness to work is really good, really important. It is really important having the willingness to work. So shadowing. So there's that. So one of the things that occurs to me, my next question in the back of my little pea brain is, but when you're looking to do rehab, usually there's like a structure there. And as long as you're not busting outside of its zoning, you usually aren't, running into too many complications. But if you're doing development, isn't that upfront work so much more important, having to do with zoning and soil? And, you talk to me, I'm not a developer. You talk to me about that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I've got two schools of thought, and that is you're either way you're dealing with problems. Like the truth is, like, you're right. You've got a house, right? But you don't know until you get into the house what's going on. I've had surprise foundation issues. I had a house that it was a hoarder house, and we cleared it out. And what we did was we decided to tent it, because there were a lot of animal infestations there. Okay. So we went ahead and tented it just straight off. Because I don't want to be around that. So we'll tent it.
You didn't want to walk in spraying Raid in front of you the whole time.
Right, I know. So we tented it, we took the tent off, and we started working on it. And there was a smell. We were like, there is a rancid smell. Where is that coming from? And we ended up finding this vent that was kind of big. And so we took out the vent, looked in there. There was a beehive, no lie, that was half my body size. There was a beehive. So the bees had been coming in and out of that vent from outside for years. They had built a hive. We killed them all when we tented. And now there's this crazy smell permeating through the house. And I have to like Google beehive
removal.
taker outer.
Taker outer. Beehive taker outer. There are actually some very complex beehive taker outers. Very competent.
It's
and complex,
specialist, you know.
And specialist, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't know. The rehab business doesn't like things like specialist, craftsmen. These are words that the rehab business
try to not hire
like.
them. No, that's correct. We don't.
We don't like those words. No, we don't. So yeah, so you know, there's a rehab story. Development, yes, it's different, and really the upfront work is pretty detailed. And I think what's most challenging about it, at least it was for me, is all the new terminology. Okay. There's a lot of new engineering terminology I didn't know, or why we were doing something that we were doing, and the hoops that you have to jump through in the city.
That's the one that comes to mind for me.
That is, yeah. I mean, you know, rehabbing, you know, you go to the city, you get like a little rehab permit if you get a permit, but you know, if you get a,
if you bother to get one.
You forget sometimes. Anyway.
Oh, did that electrical required a permit? Darn.
Anyway, but yeah, if there's no doing that at the city for a build, you know, so that's why I feel like your team is so important. You know, I realized how great the team was when I was on my second build, because we were able to expedite the plans and the permitting and the process pretty quickly, which by the way was 6 months. And for that process to be in 6 months is actually really quick. So, you know, you've got, you know, I had a lot of different learning things that happened making that transition. One of them is I'm used to being in and out in 6 months, right? And you're developing, it's 18 months to 2 years, right? So my attention span, I didn't know if my attention span was long enough.
Mine's not. I've already decided that mine's not, actually.
I was like, am I still on that job? Anyway.
It is still,
we haven't even started building yet.
Where are we in the permitting process again? How many departments have we gone through?
It's 6 months. Where's the checks?
It's 6 months. I'm still writing checks. Hold on a second.
I've just really started writing checks, you know?
And that's right.
You know, that's the other thing. Right. Like I had like shell shock. So for those of you that are curious, the 2 builds that I've done now was taking a single family home that's zoned for multi, knocking it down and building 4-plex.
Right, exactly. And that was what I wanted to get to. Like if you're taking a single family and you're knocking it down, you're building a 4-plex, you got to make sure you're allowed to do that on the level of the soil, on the level of the structure, on the level of the hillside, right? Inside of the city zoning, asking for variances from the lot lines, right? From the setbacks, making sure you have the survey. I mean, that's a lot of stuff to do up front.
Public utilities, like everything,
Right.
For one of our projects, we had an electrical pole that was in the way. And, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, there is no electrical company that cares about what you're doing. And they're like, yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm like, when will you get there?
You don't understand the check I'm writing every month on this thing. When are you going to get there?
And, you know, the permitting for a rehab is so much less expensive. When we got the first bill, when it was like, oh, this is exciting. They're signing off on our plans. Now we can buy building permits. Write a check for $44,000.
Right.
And I was like, for how much?
Really?
You know,
I didn't have that in the plan.
That was a little sticker shock to me, you know. Right. But the truth of the matter is, you know, it all turned, it all turned out great.
Right.
And the value of development is the amount of equity that you actually add. You
Yes.
think you're adding value in flipping, like, there's a nice chunk of equity if you can maintain it. And it's the same way in developing. There could be a really nice chunk of equity if you can maintain it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the whole concept is you take a single unit that is valued at the single unit price per square foot.
Yeah.
And then you probably have more than doubled, if not tripled the square footage to then develop 4 units that can be sold individually.
Yeah.
Now you're taking a home, like, let's just talk about Culver City for a minute. Now you're taking a project in Culver City that I just moved out of the house that they were going to tear down.
Yeah.
They bought 2 houses next door to each other. They each cost them about $1 million each one. One house you could live in. One house was a hoarder house that was going to fall down the next time a good wind came along. Like
Right.
nobody wanted to live in it anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they bought them both. One for $1.2 million and one for $1.1 million. Guess what? Which one cost the $1.2 million?
No, the hoarder house?
The hoarder house cost $1.2 million.
No way.
Yes, baby. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it was $1.1 million and $1.05 million, but the one that was the hoarder house cost more than the one that they could. Just saying. But then people are asking me like, well, why would they do this? And it's like, well, because if they can sell each, they're doing eight units, because now they've torn down 2. They've got 2 lots, allowed to do 4 per lot. They're going to do 8 units. They're going to do it as a compound, as a complex. Now they can sell each one of those for at least $900,000 to $1 million.
Well, and that's even more complicated than what I did. Like with the 4-plex, you're still under the 5 number, right?
Right.
So, when you're going to refinance, you're still going Freddie Fannie, and we're using them as rentals,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when you have that many buildings on 2 single lots or linked singles on lots of land, you have to have other additional zoning,
Right.
things, which is, small lot subdivisions, which is a whole nother process, which, by the way, tack on a few more months.
Tack on a few more months and
Yeah.
some more money.
And some more money.
And some more money.
Yeah.
Right, because, well, if you're building rentals, then you're not developing separate APNs for one unit. Each unit is what you're telling me.
Right.
So you're developing a
Yeah,
rental.
We have a 4-plex, they're 4-plex rentals.
4-plex
Right.
rentals. And
Right.
then do you keep them or do you sell them? So do you keep them?
That was a great question. So we had an investor that brought in his 1031 money to the projects, and he owns 55%. And we said, look, because you own 55%, you get to choose if we keep or if we sell when we get to certificate of occupancy. And he chose that we kept. So we refinanced, and
Okay, I was about to say, hold on, that's a really big decision to leave in somebody else's hands when you're the one who's put in all the sweat equity and invested all the time.
Yeah.
Then you go, oh yeah, maybe I'll get my sweat equity back in monthly paychecks, which is rent, or do I get my sweat equity back in like a chunk?
Yeah.
And as a rehabber, you're used to getting it back in a chunk, like we talked about at the beginning. We're joking about at the beginning. Where's my check? It's been 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay, talk to me. Sorry to interrupt the story.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we ran the numbers both ways for him,
Okay.
and had many discussions. I'll just say that. But for us, for me and my partner who built the places, it was okay either way. We were going to cash flow, and we still always have the equity in, right?
Okay.
So, it's not like we were losing anything. At least neither one of us felt like we were losing anything. So that wasn't a hard decision. What was hard is getting refinanced during COVID. And what was hard was getting the certificate of occupancies during COVID.
Okay.
Man, I've been doing the hustle. And we just finished the second refinancing, and then lease ups.
Okay.
We just finished the 8th lease up. So we just
now you're stable.
Now we're stable. All the tenants are settling in. They're paying the rent. Yeah. And so the money's starting to flow. But yeah, so, it's such a much longer process. But at the same time, my portfolio grew substantially, like the values.
The forced
right?
equity that you were
Yeah, the
able to
forced
bring,
equity
and
is
you're still
incredible.
owning it instead of being paid out in it.
Yeah.
So it's still appreciating in value by California standards,
Right.
right? So that's good.
We'll see where those standards go, but
Yeah, we haven't even touched on this time of COVID. We haven't even, even a little bit, because I mean, well, COVID will come and go. COVID will come. And you've been investing for, I don't know, years. That's a couple decades. I mean, that's
you have. I haven't been investing for a couple decades.
No, well, a decade.
Just
a decade. Okay, yeah. Okay,
So
I've been investing for a couple.
I missed the last downturn.
Huh?
I missed the last downturn.
You missed the last downturn. Okay, well, I've been investing for a couple decades, and I didn't miss the last downturn or the downturn before that, or the one that's going to be coming up. Whenever that one happens, I'll be in that one too, and probably the one after that, I'll probably be in that one too. Truth be told, because I'm definitely in this for the long haul until basically my brain explodes and I decide that I'm done. Which I'm closer to than I ever expected, but that's besides the point. I just so the listeners know, I started when Deborah and I first got on to do the show today. I was so glad it was her, because I'm in such a bad mood that I'm really glad I'm interviewing somebody who I can, have a flowing conversation with. So this is Christina Suter in a bad mood, just so everybody knows. This is what I look like.
I know, right? God. So my kids would kill to have Christina Suter in a bad mood.
Okay, this is what Christina Suter looks like in a bad mood when she's hanging out doing a podcast in a bad mood, and she can laugh about all the stuff that's going on.
All the stuff that's going on.
So
I should hope you can laugh about it sometimes. Like, I know that there's other times you just can't, but tonight I'm a little punchy.
Today we can laugh about it.
Yeah.
But so the upfront stuff. So it sounds like the upfront stuff doesn't scare you, because that actually scares me. The upfront stuff scares me. I'd be scared to buy a lot or buy a house, planning to develop it. And then you go, oh, no, sorry, there used to be a gas station next door, and now you can't do X, Y, and Z. Oh, no, sorry, your soil test doesn't perk for the size septic system you want to have, so now you can't build a fourplex or whatever because the soil won't perk. Like, I'm concerned about that upfront work as being the primary limiter, and that I'd make a mistake in that.
Yes. If I gave the impression that I wasn't concerned or scared.
That isn't what you meant to give. Okay, good. You didn't look concerned or scared.
It's so funny because you mentioned that, and I was like, oh, okay, first of all, I did it with somebody who's done it several times.
Okay. So they knew what.
But I was just thinking about that, and I thought, and I felt like, the dog that's being pulled with the leash, like, are you sure?
Sure. Is this really a good idea? Is that really going to clear? Oh man.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there were a few times, or we'd be on a conference call, and then I'd call my partner, go, well, could you describe for me what just happened? Because there's just a language. There was a language I didn't know. And I think we all know, like, you get into any kind of real estate, notes, flipping, whatever, there's a language, right? And you got to learn the language, because if you don't know the language, you end up on a call and then calling people afterwards going, what the heck?
That's what we just agreed to.
I don't exactly know what happened, but everybody said okay and left.
Well, and then being willing, I mean, not to put too much personal growth in here, we're not even close to it actually yet, but the whole point is that you're willing to say, I have no clue, what are people saying, educate me, because I'm new here. And then when you're the expert, you get to educate the next one.
Yes. And I am a super advocate of that, because I think that, different people use different terminologies for different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, language can be tricky. I feel like, I was brought up English speaking, but sometimes I feel like, wow, I have no idea what this person is saying, and I have to ask. And I think one of my most common questions is, could you say that again in a different way? Like, don't know what you're saying.
Don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. And real estate, like, it's got a lot of terminology, a lot of financial terminology.
Well, we talked about the terminology is different. So, when I buy multi-units, like I focus on cap rate, I focus on gross rent multiplier, right? GRM, right? I focus on price per door. But when I'm doing flipping, I focus on price per square foot, not price per door. I focus on the lower end price per square foot and the upper end price per square foot.
I focus on that too.
And I'm focused on, ARV, after repair value. And
everybody has a different way of calculating it.
Everybody has a different way of calculating it. I focus on, let's say I'm trying to use some other buzzwords.
When I first got into real estate, everybody's ROI.
Oh,
and I was like, to find out there was no real standard equation for
return on investment. Is it
return on investment
stands for?
It's like ARV. Everybody's got a different way of calculating.
Conversion calculated. But then when you start getting into development, then you start getting into, like, I don't know, there's zoning and parking spaces that are required if you're doing inner city development.
Right. And there's
coastal commission.
If there's rent control in the area, you've got to go through a whole nother department. Like, it's all departments.
Right. It's all departments. There's health. Right. There's the health department. There's the fire department. There's the zoning department, zoning compliance. There's the building and planning.
Yeah, trees. There's a tree.
Trees. No, we just did that because we have an oak tree that we were thinking about taking down, and its trunk is bigger than 8 inches. So now we had to get an arborist to give us a professional opinion to talk to the tree department, and we found out we can't take the tree out.
Right.
So we didn't have to talk to the department because we talked to the arborist.
Catching.
So I just paid more money to talk to an arborist to find out we couldn't do it.
Process, right?
It's process.
You have to do what?
Constantly.
And then he has to put a report, and then who do we give the report to?
Well,
it's the whole process.
Right, and then there's so developmental, like so when you're developing, there's the perk test. I assume you have to do a perk test because you have to be able, and then do you have to do a test for foundations? Right,
yes,
for bedrock?
There's gas tests in the soil. There's 2 types of soil testing. So one is for the natural gases, because if there's methane if there's a certain amount of methane in your soil, then the foundation has to be different. Right. So there's just a lot of different.
So there's the gas test. What's the other test?
That's the compost of the soil. What is the soil made of? Right. So it's 2 different soil tests so that you can determine your foundation. Right.
Okay. And that affects your costs.
And and then, then there's the whole architect, right? And all of their lingo. And, I don't know if anybody's ever really looked at a full set of plans, but it's several places.
I have, but I don't understand all of them. I understand tax returns better than I understand a full set of plans. I just confessing here.
I like the overview one where it just shows the entrances and where all the rooms are.
Versus the elevations, right?
And the inside of the walls, and then this,
and the wiring, and the roof line.
You spend a little time going, okay, what is it that I'm supposed to be looking for here?
Right.
What do I need to draw my attention to? And learning that how the architect sets the foundation directly relates to the amount of cost you have. And if the architect wants, high ceilings or custom windows, we had an architect that brought us all custom windows. We're like, change these windows out.
No way.
Custom windows. Now, did I learn about standard window sizes from flipping? Yes.
Right.
So
right.
I
could be able to roll that over.
Yeah, I could tell these were custom windows. I'm like, there is no window that dimension. So yeah. So it was crazy.
All right. So, so just for time, just for time's sake, let's switch over a little bit to your history and what I call the real estate breakthrough. So you started as an entrepreneur in design, right? And you worked for other companies, but then you started your own company, right? and then you decided that you're going to get into real estate? Explain this to me. Like,
Right.
why?
Yeah. So, so I started my own company as a designer, and what you might not know is that I owned other companies too.
No, I
So
don't.
prior to going into real estate, I always had my design company. We specialized in entertainment packaging and marketing. And I'm in LA, so that was perfect for me. And I used to work in the music industry, so it was a natural transition to do a lot of music stuff. And then we expanded to DVDs and books and all that kind of stuff. So, and it was great, and it was interesting, and I really enjoyed the work. And then I was a foundational partner in a piece of software.
Okay.
And the software grew for like good 4 years, and then we sold it off and got a little bit of money. That was great. I was a partner in a gift product, and we worked on that for a few years and lost a little bit of money, and that wasn't so great. But you know, you learn a lot along the way, right? You know,
right.
Yeah. So, and then I got into a car accident, and I think like a lot of people out there, and maybe even some people going through COVID, you know, something happens in your life where you stop for a minute and you go, is this the life I really want? Right? Am I really living my life to the fullest?
Right.
You know, and I didn't have a bad life. Don't get me wrong. I didn't, but it wasn't the life that I wanted. Like I was selling my time for money, and, you know, I didn't have any more time to sell. And, you know, and then I'm trying to sell other people's time for money, you know, make the margin, right?
That's right.
And it was just like, wow, it was a hustle. And I remember, you know, at one point my studio grew to like 6 people, and I did my taxes with my accountant at the end of the year, and I made less money that year than any of the previous years. And I'm like, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I had an accident, and, you know, and I was down for a good year. You know, some people will know my story, and I actually broke my neck in a car accident. And I was really blessed that my brother came out and took care of me. And not only allowed me the space to heal, because I had I had 2 teenagers at the time in high school, and I couldn't make any money, right? So that was interesting. But he like also kept me in such a great mind space.
Okay.
Like he just never let me believe that I wasn't going to be anything but fully healed. He just never did. And I think he learned that from his experiences at Tony Robbins events.
Okay.
So enter Tony Robbins. So during that time, I had all this time to think, because I couldn't do anything else.
Yeah, you're laying on your back, literally.
I'm laying on my back. Yeah,
Right.
you know, like brace for months and months and months. I was in a brace for 7-8 months. And then you get out of the brace, it's like a gradual thing, you know, okay, you're on the brace an hour a day, you know, and then you're, you know, a little longer, and then you're walking a little more, and it's a process. It's a process. So I had a lot of time to think, mostly at like 3 a.m.
Listening to the hospital beeps in the background.
You know, or when I got home, listening to my bank account diminish.
Going down, right? Diminish.
Right, like you wake up thinking, what am I going to do? You know, what am I going to do? And I think there are a lot of people who lose sleep over things that are happening. You know, sometimes it's divorce, sometimes it's the death of somebody you love. Like, you know, we're human, and these things impact us. And what it did for me is made me realize that life was short, and that there was no time to spare. If you want to live your life the way you want to live your life, you better start doing it.
Yeah, just doing it and just getting to it.
Yeah.
Rather than
And I thought, I want passive income because I want to be able to travel the world. I want to be able to spend time with my family. I want to be able to do what I want to do, not like sell my time all the time, be under stress all the time, and wait until the end to do something.
To do it. Yeah.
To do something. So I literally started Googling passive income. And when I started Googling it, all kinds of things came up, like intellectual property, royalties, you know, real estate. But real estate kept coming up. Okay. And I was like real estate, you know, maybe I should try that. And I had already read the little purple book, but I got it back out and read it again. And you know, Rich Dad, Poor
Rich
Dad.
Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, The Purple Book. Yes, The Purple Book.
The book.
The book. That's it. Yep.
So, and I started educating, you know, and I really started from ground zero, you know, listening to podcasts, reading, going to real estate club meetings, meeting other investors, taking them to coffee, finding out how they started, you know. And I was given, somebody gave me a piece of advice that said, you know, get an investment philosophy. And I was like, what is an investment philosophy?
What is an investment philosophy? I've been in this field for 30 years and I've never heard an investment philosophy.
Right.
I don't disagree with the concept.
Basically, it's like get a plan.
Okay, thank you.
Get a plan.
Get a plan.
You're going to need a plan, girl.
You need a plan. You need a plan. Well, an investment philosophy is an interesting way to say it, but I don't want to interrupt your story. Continue your story.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so I had to get a plan, and I knew my end game needed to be cash flow, right? Like, I'm like, okay, I need to make cash flow happen. But my current game was, I don't got anything, right? Like the current
you just went through a year of going through what you did.
I just went through a year of doing things. So my brother once again helped me out, and I partnered with somebody who knew how to flip, and I flipped a house. And God bless, I made $100,000 on that deal, which was a real positive, but sometimes a negative too. And I'll tell you about that. But I made a bunch of money, and I was like, "Ow, I could do this. This is easy."
Just made the same amount I would have made in what, 6 months or a year of my own business.
Yeah, right.
Woohoo!
And then I started thinking, okay, well, I want to reinvest that in buy and holds. I wanted cash flow. I knew I couldn't get cash flow in Los Angeles, and so I went outside, and I ended up buying single families, which I still have actually in Memphis, Tennessee. But along the way, or really actually at the beginning, not knowing how to change my life. I mean, working for, you know, spending time in exchange for money is a mindset, right?
Yeah.
And not knowing how I had to change my mind to change my life, I started going to Tony Robbins things.
Right.
And you know, drank the Kool-Aid and went to all of his events, and then started learning the techniques that he uses to help people make lasting change. And now I work for him, and it's fabulous because it keeps me involved in that self-development. I've also done all kinds of other self-development stuff. And I think that going hand in hand is really, was really key for me. And I think any of the investors that I actually, any really great investor that I know that I've had the opportunity to sit down with a cup of coffee with, they've been through a lot of different personal development stuff. And, you know, everybody gets it in a different way, you know, but the fact of the matter is, you know, for a real estate business to grow, a lot of times you have to grow. And, you know, I felt like, you know, that was something that I was really committed to because I wanted it bad enough. And that's the other thing, you know, you gotta want it, you know, and, you know, it's not easy. Like, it's simple. Like, I mean, you've heard that term, like it's simple, but not easy. And the example I give is, you know, it's simple to learn the mechanics of filling out the forms or writing an offer. That's just a form, that's a paperwork, but it's not easy to put in offer after offer after offer every week.
No, it's not.
That's up here work.
Yeah, that's sheer determination. Yeah,
and you've got to know why you're in it, and you got to get really intimate with that, you know. So what are you laughing about?
Oh, come on, you know, this is
intimate.
Intimate is perfect. No, intimate is the right word. Because I was just about to say, like, you were intimate with it because you spent a year in bed in a brace going, oh, what the patoozies, because I'm not allowed to use truly bad words. So what the patoozies am I doing here? What am I doing with my life? I'm trading my time for money, and my time is taken from me because all I can do with my time right now is be in this bed, and that's not going to work. It's not going to support me in the long run. Look what's happening now as I eat my way through my savings with my 2 teenage kids. I mean, that's a lot on the line. And so when you say intimate, you mean intimate.
Yeah. And so much of it is you know, after doing a lot of mindset work, so much of it I realize now is the meaning you make of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I, you know, I didn't make that mean like this is going to destroy me forever. You know, I made that mean get the lesson,
Get
get
the
the
lesson.
lesson here and move forward.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so that's what I did. And I learned some other really valuable things. And one of the other really valuable things is people matter.
Okay.
You know, when you can't do anything and people are gracious to you and helping you, and you realize how much people and relationships matter, right? And I think sometimes we get really busy. You know, and it's like, oh, you know, they won't miss me. It doesn't matter that I didn't contribute there, whatever, you know. And I really got that people matter. And that's actually, you know, part of the reason I started the Women's Real Estate Network.
Right.
You know, because it's a form of contribution, and it's a form of like, we're all in this together. And I want to instill a belief that if you really want it, you can do it. And I have a mentor who's, you know, often said to me, you know, you got to have a why that makes you cry, you know.
Yeah.
And for
good.
me, the Women's Real Estate Network is it. Like, I'm very passionate about helping women move forward in their real estate investing careers. And so much so, right? So
You have
so
the
passionate.
night event. You're
Right.
gonna-
Oh yeah. Yeah. But so passionate, like that's
Okay.
the whole intimacy part. That emotion is what gets you through the rough times.
Right.
Right. Because
Well,
it's like, you gotta have something to get through.
Well, and the thing I've noticed about the why, and I don't have good words for this, but I think the why that makes you cry is the perfect words for it, because it needs to be the thing that's unnegotiable.
Yeah.
It's got to be the thing that's unnegotiable. Like, you know, the why has to be so important and so core inside you that it makes you cry.
Yeah.
Is that passionate and that important and that unnegotiable? And if you fail in that why, that's, you know, that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to fail in this why. And that why is going to make you show up in all kinds of ways that you never thought you could.
Yeah. I think it allows you to fall, but it doesn't allow you not to get back up.
Right. It doesn't allow you to give up.
That's kind of what it's about. You know,
Okay.
so yeah, we got kind of deep there for a minute.
We did. So do you want to talk about Ignite then real quick?
Sure,
You touched on REN. Let's talk about Ignite.
Absolutely. So REN started, and it's basically a real estate club, but it's just geared towards women. We only have women speakers at the front of the room.
Women Real Estate Network.
Women's Real Estate Network, reninspires.com. And a few years ago, we started putting together an annual event, and it was fun. I mean, it was fun. Christina's been every year. It's fun. It's all women together, women experts on the stage in all different areas of real estate. It's a lot of networking. It's just a lot of fun. And this year it was supposed to be in April, and we got COVID postponed. Mm-hmm. And we you know, rebooked the same venue for October, thinking, oh, no problem.
COVID will be done by October. A national pandemic will be done by October. It's not going to last longer than 6 months,
COVID,
is it?
COVID who?
Wow. Boy, we have all of us underestimated this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe somebody didn't, but I didn't know anybody who didn't underestimate COVID.
I obviously didn't. I booked a venue.
Right. Booked a venue.
So yeah, you know, a little while ago, you know, reality set in, and it was like, oh, we're going to have to go online. And you know, I really dug deep about that, and I decided that we're going to rebrand the event because women, I think, you know, we're all a little zoomed out, and I think women in particular, God love that my kids are out of school because, you know, homeschooling with all this going on. I'm sorry, Christina. I do not.
Yeah, my 10-year-old homeschooling. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. You know, and all the things that women are juggling right now, not to mention the emotional roller coasters that we're on, right?
All of us.
The uncertainty of it all, right?
Yeah.
And
the isolation.
And the isolation, right? And we're a networking organization, you know, so we should be able to, I don't know, give some support. And so, you know, I just sat and I said, you know what, we're going to have Ignite the Unconference. And the unconference means we're going to deal with the elephant in the room, which is where we're at. You know, if we're not grounded and we're not like in a good place in our heads, it is reflected in our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so let's just get grounded first, you know, and we're going to have some meditation. We're going to have some dance. We've got some experts coming in who are specifically catered to women and helping them balance things with some great information and great tools with that. Now, we're still going to have great real estate, you know, experts come in, but we're also going to have large breaks, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to have some fun.
Fun.
You know?
I've heard of fun. I remember fun. Previous to fires, previous to COVID, previous to riots, previous to, you know, whatever you want to put in that list. I remember the fun
was in there.
It's in there.
You know, and part of it is we hired a technology company that's going to have us being able to cross connect more easily, right?
Good.
Not just like delivery participant. I wanted people to be able to connect with each other, right? Because it's through the connection that we're strong.
Yeah.
And, you know, the fun, you know, instead of like an in-person, you know, cocktail Saturday night party, we're going to have a pajama party networking event. And we're working, fingers crossed, on getting a comedian to come in at the end of that.
Oh,
Let's just have some fun. You know, let's just
That'd be
have some fun and get to know each other and be able to laugh together and, you know, maybe even cry together if we want to. We're women, we can do what we want. Little tears never hurt any of
a
us.
little crying is good for the soul. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. It's good.
totally.
It's a good vein or cleansing on the soul.
It is. So it's in October. It's October 10th and 11th. If you're interested, go to ignite2020tickets.com. The agenda is up there. You'll be able to check it out. You know, for our WREN members, we're putting together some really cool swag bags, you know, and we're going to do some girly, fun, crazy things, but we're also going to do some really grounding things and some great education. So I feel so much more congruent about putting this on this way now. So Ignite the Unconference is, you know, what we're doing. It'll be good.
You never know, when we go back to in person, it might stay Ignite the Unconference.
I might stay for a while now.
Might stay
I'm feeling a great deal of security and just being we're gonna
be we're for now, from moving forward from now.
Feels like a lot less pressure.
Real estate, conference, right?
Yeah.
A support community, but on the on the level. So okay, so let's do the last bit of story. Just the last bit of story, which is, tell us your worst real estate investment and what you learned from it.
Oh, does it have to be real estate?
No,
just investment.
It can be investment. Yeah, just investment. Go for it.
So my brother, who I told you about, who I love dearly.
Yeah, clearly.
He's a stock guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, he even has his own hedge fund, you know, and I'm a real estate girl, right? And I was you know, exploring real estate, and I was learning, and he was like, no, you know, stocks,
right?
Yep. And I was like, okay.
Sure. No, that makes sense.
You know, I love,
if he's a stock guy, right, I'd go there.
I trust
Absolutely.
him. Yeah.
Right.
And you know, so he was showing me how, and I lost a bunch of money. I lost a bunch of money.
You were doing it, or he was doing it?
I was doing it.
You were doing it.
He was instructing me, and I was supposed to be doing it.
You were the student.
Yeah.
So you have nobody to be mad at but yourself.
No, I mean, I was mad at him.
Okay.
Just checking.
Okay.
He's not going anywhere.
He's family. He's not going anywhere. You're allowed to be mad at him. Okay. So that's good. So you're mad at him, and you were mad at yourself. And you're probably mad at the stock market.
Oh, I was mad. You know, I was mad at the stock market too. And here's though the lesson. Here was the lesson. I'm like, how did this happen? Right? You know, like, he gave me good guidance, blah, you know, like, how did this happen? And here's how it happened. I can't watch the stock market every day. And you know why? Because I'm not interested in it.
Right.
I am not interested in it.
Thank you
Hello.
for that story, Deborah. It immediately is helpful to me in my personal life, or not my personal life, my business life right now.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
welcome.
That is perfect.
Right? Here's the lesson.
Here's the
Don't
lesson.
Here, where are you? Don't invest in things you're not interested in.
Don't invest in things you're not interested in.
I couldn't watch the line. Now I can spend hours on Zillow and Redfin. I
I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I can look up houses for days. I can be out in my car looking at houses. I couldn't check in for 10 minutes each morning on stocks. I'm like, well, Deborah, now you know why you lost the money.
Yeah. Boy, that was a good one. Boy, you must have done some good work on that.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm serious. Between the losing the money and being angry and sharing the story today, you must have done some good work to just own that.
It took me a while. It took me a
Yeah.
while.
That's what I'm saying. It must have taken you a little bit of
It took me a
time.
while. And
to
now
just
I'm grateful.
Now you're good with it.
Now I'm grateful.
Now
And
you're
you know
good.
what? Here's the thing. I think we, human beings get intuition about things. And we tend to dismiss them and like somehow in our head try to justify things, and I think that we should listen to our intuition a little more, And I say that, like I take that, I wish I took that advice a lot.
Exactly. We should be listening. We should be taking our own advice. I know. I had the same thought, like intuition with all the other noises in my head, and
A lot of noise.
A lot of noise. A lot of
Yeah.
noise. On that note, on that encouragement of listening to our intuition, thank you, Deborah, so much for being here. So give us your contact information one more time, people who might want to invest in your development deals,
Definitely.
or people who might want to work with you as a coach, because I do know you do coaching, even though you didn't talk about it on this podcast,
Yeah.
or people who just want to be able to shadow you on one of your projects or come to a WREN meeting. So how do people get a hold of you?
Sure. So you can get a hold of me directly by going to deborahrazo.com. It's DEBORAH, the long way, RAZO, 1Z. And if you want to check out WREN, it's WREN Inspires, WREN Inspires.com. And you can check out WREN, and we're opening more chapters along the way. So that's really been exciting. And if you're interested in coming to our Ignite event, our unconference, go to ignite2020tickets.com.
Okay, and how do they get a hold of you?
You can just call me. I'm at 818-843-7772.
Say it again.
818-843-7772. But the best thing to do is text me first, because I get a lot of calls, and so I'm on the phone a lot. So many times I'll let it go to voicemail. But if you text me and I see things, then that's good too. Or you can just email me at drazo@reninspires.com. That's the email I check most.
That's good. I understand. So what you're willing to check is very important. What you put energy into grows.
Right.
So, thank you so much, Deborah. It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, my audience, for listening to Real Estate Breakthrough with Christina Suter, your host and producer. Tune in next week.